What's up, Buckeye Nation? Flo Coe here from Ohio State Football with Scarlet N Great right here on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, make sure you're subscribed and turn those notifications on for whenever we have new content that comes out, whether it's me, Johnny Bullet, or Shane Sugar Ray Larson, the Game Time Guru, or all three of us, as we've seen before, we've done recently. So let us put those notifications on, and we'll let you know when we're on and got more content out. We always want to provide the good, free Buckeye content for you guys. Anyway, also, help us get to 5,000 subscriptions, and we will do a giveaway, a hoodie and a mug. It will be all yours. Scarlet and Great hoodie and Scarlet Great mug will be all yours when we get to 5,000. We'll do a giveaway, and I have a hoodie. I love it. It's my favorite hoodie by a mile. I'm not even just saying that because it's our show. It's because it's actually extremely comfortable, even for us Floridians down here, where it doesn't get all that cold. We can't handle anything below 65, so hoodies are perfect for us. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the Penn State game a little bit. I mean, this is typically Johnny's thing where he does an overreaction or a reaction video. I don't typically do them, but I wanted to do one because I have some things I want to talk about with you guys. Anyway, and also want to hear what you have to say. So remember to comment on a number of these things. But first, I want to comment. Do you want to? I want you to comment to me. Do you think Penn State is a rival? I know they seem to play us tough all the time. And I know Penn State thinks of us as a rival, I think, and they want it so bad. But what do you guys think as a fan base? Do you think Penn State is a rival? I'm going to tell you what I think. I think no, they're not a rival. They're a very good team, a very good program, and they're a tough out. That being said, just because a team plays us tough doesn't mean they're a rival. Iowa typically plays us tough. They're not a rival. Purdue has played us tough in the past. Not a rival. I don't think that's the measuring stick of whether or not we're a rival because you play us tough. There's been some years Michigan didn't play as tough at all, but they are the rivals. So that to me is not that's a false measuring stick. So if you do feel like they're a rival, comment in the comment section. Tell me why you think they're a rival, and tell me why I'm wrong. But anyway, we did watch the game, and I'll be honest with you, I've been to the doctor recently because I was having some chest pains. They took a look at my heart and said nothing's wrong. It was other stuff was driving my issues. I won't get into that; it's a little personal. But that being said, after this past game, I might have to go back and get another checkup because if there was anything going to take a lot time off your life and drive up your heart issues, it would be that game because obviously you're staring down the barrel of a perfect season going down the drain, and you're just watching it go down the bowl, and you're just, oh man, I don't know what to think. If they lose that game, the season's not over, but it makes it a lot more difficult, especially when you got what could be considered a fairly easy run coming up before the game against the team up north. But let's talk about a little bit like what did we learn from this game, right? Let's talk about a few things that, at least that I feel like I learned. Now you may see some of these things and go, "Oh, we already knew that, you idiot," and that's fine. Comment below if you think I'm an idiot for just now learning some of these things. But I learned about. I'm going to go with 5 things for right now. 5 things, and you could comment what you think. Tell me what you think about any of these things. But I'm going to give you kind of an overlay of what impressed me during it. This is going to be mostly positive, by the way, because I do feel like, and this will be in the 5th point, as you'll see. But I do think there's a lot of negativity out there for what I feel is a good win. But anyways, let's go. Let's get on with the countdown here. Let's start with number 1. CJ Stroud can be that guy. Now, what do I mean by that? He's obviously always been very talented, smart QB, good kid, represents Ohio State extremely well. He's a leader, I think. There's always been that question if he has that dog in him, and I'm not saying he doesn't try. I'm not saying like he's mentally not tough. I'm just saying, can he be that guy? And I said this on the podcast probably like a couple weeks ago. Can he be that guy that when you're down in the 4th quarter against a good team on the road, he can go get you a touchdown? Well, if the game on this past Saturday is any indicator, yeah, obviously he can. He showed that because we were down, 21-16 in the 4th quarter. And our offense had not been clicking all day. Just it hadn't been. And that's not on him. I mean, the offensive line wasn't playing that great. The run game couldn't get going. The play calling was a little questionable at times. And I agree with Johnny. I'm not Mr. Tell Ryan Day not to call the plays. He's still one of the best play callers in America. I mean, he can have an off half here and there, but his adjustments are incredible, and he's got the talent to overcome some of his own issues sometimes. But I mean, it hadn't clicked. Penn State's a respectable defense. They were one of the best run defenses in the country until Michigan got a hold of them. But that what I saw is like that. I said, look, the defense had kept them in the game for the most part of the game. Made a couple mistakes, don't get me wrong, but they kept them in the game. But CJ and the offense need to step up. We can't just rely on one side of the ball all the time. I'll get to that point here in a few minutes too. But CJ, three plays, touchdown, we're ahead. Automatically, Penn State had fought and clawed and got to get ahead of us. So we, and put us down by 5, which seemed insurmountable at the time, the way we were kicking field goals and couldn't score in the red zone. 3 plays later, we got the lead again. CJ made 2 baller throws. And then, of course, the 41-yard run by Trevion Henderson. And CJ got it, but CJ led the charge. And then the offense looked great the rest of the game. So I kudos and my hats off to CJ for that one, because I had my doubts whether he could be that guy. He at least showed me a flash in this game against a good team. Number 13 team in the country, only had 1 loss in Happy Valley, a hostile crowd, season on the line. I mean, it would have been so much more of an uphill battle if we had lost that game. So kudos to you, CJ. You were the leader where they needed that day, and you made some absolute baller throws. Number 2, young players are emerging as serious playmakers. It's one thing for a young guy to come in and spend his first couple of years as a pretty good player, role player, but not really flash, right? Anyway, I'll tell you what. There's been a lot of young guys that I have seen that I think are extremely uber talented. They just haven't really flashed. And obviously, Tuimoloau, I struggle with his name, was a guy who had 5-star guy, had high expectations, and he had been a good player. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He does what he's supposed to do. He's an extremely valuable asset on that defensive line, but he hadn't been that game changer yet, right? And I have never seen a defensive performance like this in my life. A defensive end that not only had 2 interceptions, a pick 6, caused another interception. I didn't even know he caused the one. I missed part of the game until I watched it again. I didn't even know he's the one who caused the interception for Zach Harrison. Strip sack, fumble, 6 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. Just an absolutely dominant performance. I mean, that's as serious a playmaker as it gets. And he's a young guy, and he's emerging as that guy that when we need a play, he can go out and get that play. It isn't just enough to have good players all over the field. You have to have dogs out there who, when you need the play to happen because you're in a dogfight and you're down and you need somebody to step up and make a play. He did it, and you need that, and he did it. And I feel like some of our guys over the past few years that we've recruited that were high 4- and 5-star guys really haven't turned into that in some cases. And when you go into your a year and a half into the program, and some of these 5 stars like Tuimoloau really hasn't shown that yet, to show it and to come out and just burst onto the scene. I mean, now he's a national player because that performance was that huge. You just have to be in awe of it and be excited about the future, be excited about the rest of this year, because now you got guys who could step up and make a play. And I'm going to say on the other side of the ball, Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, we've seen his capabilities. He's flashed at times, but against the better teams, to be honest, he hasn't been dominant or anything. He's been pretty good. Zach Smith said it best. He's like, against Notre Dame, he was okay. I guess whenever we needed it more, he was okay. But in this game, he was dominant, couldn't be covered, and he was a chain mover. And then you read J Book's Twitter on Buckeye Radio or whatever radio channel that was, about the nonverbal communication between CJ Stroud and Marvin Harrison, running plays that weren't even the play call, because they would use nonverbal communication to understand what exactly they were facing on the defense and where they had to go to get the first down, and they converted it. I remember it was 30-24. The game's still in question, and there's a 3rd and 10. All-out blitz coming in CJ's face. He delivers a dart on a slant pattern to Marvin Harrison, who puts it in front of him enough so that Harrison could carry his momentum over and get the first down. It's just huge plays like this. 4th and 6, he throws a little behind Harrison, but again, it's another slant And Harrison reaches back and grabs it, makes the play, gets the first down. I mean, it's just, it's exciting to see these young guys emerging as just confident playmakers. Not to mention that there's that nonverbal understanding between the two on the offensive side of the ball that just shows the confidence and what they're seeing on the field and what they know they can get away with on the field, even beyond the play call. Because guys, you have to be able to go beyond what the play call is. Sometimes you got to be able to break the rules on the field and have the confidence, some swagger, and talent to do it. And they're showing that they can do that. So that's pretty exciting to watch as we go down the home stretch of the season. Number 3, OSU is playing great complementary football. Now, I don't know if how many guys know what that term is in football, but it just means the defense and offense complement each other. And we didn't have this the last 2 years. I don't know how many games we've watched the last couple of years where, if the offense wasn't perfect, just forget it. The game was over. And it was frustrating. I'm not saying every single game. There's a couple games here and there you'd be just shocked the defense got to stop. But the Penn State game, and I can even go as far as the Notre Dame game from this year, I think we lose last year because the defense couldn't stop it. Now, my friend went as far as a friend of mine went as far to say is we probably lose the Iowa game too. I don't know. I mean, Iowa's defense is so bad. Even our offense is so bad. I think even last year's defense could have held them under 20 points. But that being said, I think Penn State, Notre Dame, you could easily chalk up as losses if this is last year's defense. But you know what? Look at this year. The defense was not at its greatest against Penn State. It was really good against Notre Dame. It was not at its greatest against Penn State, but they created opportunistic turnovers to put the offense in great ball position, created 14 points off of turnovers, if I recall correctly, and also created another 7 on their own. Yeah, they gave up a lot of yards, 482 yards, a lot of passing yards on top of that. Missed tackles on Parker Washington were grotesque. Ja'Kalen Johnson and Tanner McCallum should be ashamed of themselves for that first touchdown. But that being said, they still created opportunistic turnovers, and they got stops when they needed it, and they kept us in the game. It was 14-13 for the longest time, then 16. Then we got finally got the field goal in the second half to go up by 2 points, and Penn State marches right down. Shouldn't have got the touchdown on 4th and goal. Tommy should have made the tackle, but whatever, it is what it is. They go in and score. Okay, the defense, the well breaks a little bit. The defense allows them to score. What does the offense do? 3 plays later, we got a lead back. Complementary football. Either side of the ball can answer the call when they need to answer it. And I feel extremely confident. I mean, I think that's 10 turnovers in the last 2 games by the defense. It's just ridiculous. So even when the offense is not clicking, the defense is keeping us in the game. And that's so key because it's just not going to be run and shoot every game. Sometimes you're going to have to really earn it. Some teams are going to make you really earn every inch. And Penn State, to their credit, for 3 quarters made us earn everything. So I actually I like what I see. I love the fact that it makes me more confident going down the final stretch of the season. I think we are absolutely in that contention for the playoffs and the championship in the Big Ten. And to be honest with you, last year I could see where people by week 7, week 8 say this is not a championship caliber team. I think right now we are absolutely a championship caliber team with some flaws for sure, but you can't point to anybody in the country and say they're just so definitively better than Ohio State. Now, granted, right now Tennessee is playing the best football of anybody in the country, but that doesn't mean they're definitively better than Ohio State. So anyway, on to number 4. The OSU is passing the test. Now, what does that mean? There's been 2 major tests for them this year. It's been Notre Dame and Penn State. They're passing that mental toughness test. When they play flawed football, they're not playing great. They're just not a lot is going right for them. They're making mistakes, committing penalties. They're, sometimes getting bad calls that aren't in their favor. Let's just be real. Sometimes, I'm not saying there aren't calls in their favor as well at times, but, ball's not bouncing your way type of thing. But we just toughen up and we just roll up our sleeves, put our heads down, and just grind it out and win the game. They did it against Notre Dame. They've done it now at Happy Valley, and again, that's not an easy place to play. That is a lot more important than going and beating the Rutgers of the world. If you can take on these teams, and I know Notre Dame's had a couple of bad losses, but they are a very talented team. They're just new coaching staff. And, but they're a talented team I would say on the rise. I think with the new coaching staff that's learning how they want to coach and how they want to run their program, give them a couple of years, they're going to be a pretty darn good program. But they're a talented team. They're usually tough. Even when they do lose, they're tough for that team. But again, Penn State had only 1 loss to Michigan, who's easily the second best. I mean, I don't know if they're second best. Let's just be real. Them and Ohio State are the two best in the Big Ten right now, and Illinois is third right now, which is crazy to think about. But I mean, Penn State might be third because they had to play us too, so who knows? But Illinois is at least 3 or 4. So I mean, Big Ten is pretty top heavy right now, and Penn State lost to the two heavy hitters in the Big Ten. So I mean, we passed the test against tough teams and tough environment. I mean, I wouldn't say tough environment in this shoe, obviously against Notre Dame, but things weren't going right, and they just put their heads down and got it done. And if you want to win the championship, every team gets tested, and you got to pass the test. Number 5, but some of Buckeye Nation needs to chill out just a little bit. A little, some of y'all, not everybody. I think most of y'all are just rational, good fans who see some flaws and you discuss them. Some people are just it. Anytime we struggle at all, it's season's over, fire everybody, and it drives me insane. It's part of Buckeye Nation I really don't like. I'm going to be really honest. I think it's I think it's a very small minority of people, but yet they're very loud. And I wasn't on Twitter at the time during the game. My friend was on the phone with me, just reading Twitter to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, people, calm down. We deserve to lose. We're trash. Fire. Maybe Ryan Day should be fired. Rip it on Trevian Henderson. Just like, good grief, guys. I mean, it's a tough environment, a tough football game against a good football team. You're not going to beat everybody by 300 points and outgain them by 200 yards and just dominate everybody. It's just not going to happen that way. I don't know why we're in 2022. We've most of us have watched football our entire lives. We still have to explain this to some people. Let me tell you something. In a lot of these people's personal lives who complain, I promise you, they're not living perfectly and they're not doing things perfectly. So you can't expect 18 to 20-year-old kids to play every game perfectly. Not going to happen. And I understand that we get used to just destroying these teams that are much far lesser. But Penn State is not such a far lesser team than Ohio State. They're top 15 recruiting classes every year. They have a lot of talent. The talent difference is not that ridiculous between Ohio State and Penn State. There is a gap, but it's not Rutgers Ohio State difference. It's not insane. Penn State's going to put plenty of people in the NFL and for quite a long time. Actually, they're going to put guys in the NFL who can play. And it was a tough game in a tough environment. We passed the test, like I said earlier. So, and I want to go back to point number 1 real quick. I know people are going to point out to the Utah game as a guy who he got it done. Yes, he got it done against Utah, but to me, this was a much better, harder test than Utah because it was on the road in a hostile environment. The Rose Bowl is not a hostile environment for Ohio State, and it was a depleted secondary. This, to me, is a bigger deal. So, anyway, guys, go ahead and comment. Give me a comment. What do you think about these points? What did you learn during this game? What do you think that this game showed you, good or bad? Just let me know what you think in the comments, guys. And as always, I appreciate you watching. Make sure you subscribe and you hit those notifications, like we said earlier, and help us to get to 5,000 to do that giveaway. We appreciate all you guys. As always, goodbye, God bless, and go Bucks.